Which Graham? Woolmer or Chippett?
Chippett.
Right. I can't see him.
No. Okay. Yeah, he's on somewhere. He's appearing. He's just connecting.
Okay.
I just can't get PowerPoint to show on the right screen. Ah, there we go. Right.
Okay.
Hello, Graham, if you've just joined us. So, when we left our hero at the end of episode 1, we've just done an import and it all gone horribly wrong and just stopped. Turns out the problem with that was that my work virtual machine that I'm running on here had decided that it owned the card reader rather than my physical machine. So, hello, Malcolm. So, all we've done so far is basically get the pictures into Lightroom. And remember, this was our basic workflow, which was we import the files, we select the ones we want, process them, and then export them out as something useful. And so far, all we've managed to do is do the import part. And the import part is, well, let's go and have a look. Going to have a look in Lightroom itself. Go away with the billing issue. I'll come back. I'll deal with that in a minute. So all we've done is drag our photos into Lightroom. We actually haven't achieved anything. This doesn't, at the moment, we haven't gained anything over just leaving our images on the drive. In fact, we've just wasted some time importing. We haven't really done anything with them. So we need a way of doing something useful. And what we're going to do is we need to look at the way the Lightroom module and what it gives us. And let's flip back. We need to move into a new part of the workflow, which is this select part. And so there's a basic sort of what I call an image review process in Lightroom. And the first part of that is that you clear the view. If you look at Lightroom, it's quite cluttered and there's lots of panels and stuff like that. We want to get that out of the way so we can just concentrate on looking at our images. Then we can effectively just go through our images and decide which ones we want to keep, which ones we want to throw away, which ones are average, which ones are brilliant. Then we can filter that results. Oh, stands arrived. And we can filter those results. And we just basically either delete the rejects or copy them somewhere else. And then the ones we pick, those are the ones that we go on and actually process. So this is where we start to get some value from actually having imported our images. So if I switch back to Lightroom, I said the first thing you really want to do is to clear the screen. And you'll notice we lost a lot of screen space. We've got these 2 bars up the top, 2 panels on the side, a toolbar down the bottom. If you're not careful, you've also got a film strip down the bottom there. So when we look at an image, it's a tiny little version of it, yeah, or a smaller version of it. And depending on the size of your screen, it depends on how small that version of it is. So what can we do to make the screen bigger? Well, oh, actually, sorry, I forgot. There's another panel up the top there as well. If you've got it in default mode, that's what it looks like. Yeah, you've got a tiny sort of, you're losing most of your screen. When you want to look at your images, you really want to see all of them. Well, there's a few things you could do. First of all, at the top, you've got these two lines here. If you do window screen mode, if you do full screen with menu bar, it gets rid of one of those.
Sorry, Chris, can I just stop you? Are you in library mode there?
Yes. Yes.
You are, right.
You're on the top there, next to develop.
Yes, it's highlighted there.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so go over again. Where were you?
On the window menu. This will work wherever you are.
Right, I've got you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, view. That was window, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, window screen mode. So I'm looking on the wrong screen and everything's straight. And then that's done full screen with menu bar. And then if I do full screen, it takes away the panel that your taskbar at the bottom of Windows. And then if you click up here, you get your menu back somewhere. Yeah, hover over it. And then you can do window screen mode. And this one here, this is full screen preview with a letter F next to it. I'll come back to that in a minute because that's going to be one of the most critical ones. So we can fold out this top panel that allows us to switch between modules. After a while, you don't really need that too often. You get used to the key presses. So if you click that, again, that's giving us a bit more space for our image. The film strip down the bottom, you can use it as a way of navigating between images if you like, and some people like that way of working. I'm not a huge fan of it, so I usually fold it down using this. See down here, there's a little arrow down at the bottom of the screen. Click on that, and that gets rid of that. So now we've got a bit more space. We've still got this strip here, which is the toolbar. Which may or may not be a useful thing, depends on your view of the world, really. I don't find it that useful, to be honest, and so I usually switch it off. And you can toggle the toolbar on and off by using the T key on your keyboard. So that's T for toolbar. It's an easy one to remember. And that, again, is giving you just a little bit more space. Finally, it'd be nice if we could get rid of those strips down the side as well. And pressing the Tab button gets rid of those. And pressing Tab again brings them back. Now, it depends on the way you want to work, and there are a lot of options. If, say, you're a film strip worker and you've got these film strip down the bottom, you like to click through using that rather than, say, grid view, and you find the toolbar occasionally, you're going to end up with kind of a small version of the image. And for image review, you really want to go through and see it on a full-size version. So for full-size view, the trick is to press the key F. And if I press F, there we go. That gives you a full-screen version of the picture. Everything's gone, all the distractions, everything. And then you can move your way through your images using the left and right arrows keys. So that's right to move forward. Could have pick some pictures that looked a bit different to each other, couldn't I? Let's try that. Come on, screen, catch up. Thank you. So yeah, it can move forward or backwards, and it allows me to move through the images. And then hitting the escape key or F again will take you out of that. So F toggles full screen mode, like that. So that's the first part of this image review process, which is to clear the view. And quick review of the keys that I said in that. F does the full screen mode. T removes and shows the toolbar. Tab removes the side panels. And I forgot to mention L, dim the lights, which is not one that I use very often or ever. But I thought I'd show you because, again, all of this is personal choice. If you press L once, the screen gets darker. And it goes completely black. And then L again, it comes back. Yeah. So that allows you to, I don't know, quickly sort of, as they say, dim the lights and remove distractions while you're trying to examine your picture. Can't say I'm a huge fan, to be honest. It seems easier to me to just press F and get a full screen view, but pays your money, takes your choice. So, as I said, this process is, first of all, we're going to clear the view, and then this is the image review process. So there are quite a few ways people do stuff in Lightroom, and it's all personal taste. And I tend to be biased towards my way of doing it because it's fairly simple and kind of easy to remember. You can classify your images on lots of different ways. There's what they call pick and unpick, or so flag and unflag. So you can flag your picks, flag your rejects. You can rate your pictures on a scale of 1 to 5. I tend to have just 5s or nothing. But other people can decide between a 3 and a 4, and a 2 and a 5. I'm not really sure why I'd want to do that. In my world, an image is either good enough to be processed or good enough to be printed or not. So I tend to have just use star ratings of 5 to say this is going to go on the website, this is an image I want to put into competition, this is a good one. Everything else, so all the rest of the time I tend to just use pick and unpick rather than doing a star rating, but it's up to you how you want to do it. And so let's talk you through these keys and how they work. So we've gone, so I've done the usual thing, taken the dog out for a walk as part of my self-isolation. What are we in, lockdown? I don't know, we're in semi-lockdown now, aren't we? But
sorry, Chris, how did you just get back to that view? You sort of did it very easily, but
because I went from I alt-tabbed from PowerPoint to Lightroom, but this is
oh, I see, right, okay.
So this is so okay. Let's go down this route before. Let me show you the views within the library view. So we're in library at the moment, and there's a few views. One is this is the grid view, which you get to by pressing G on your keyboard. So that's G for grid. We like that. And you can be in develop module and press G and go back to the grid. And that's one thing I do quite often. And down here at the bottom on the toolbar, see me pointer down the bottom, we have these various views. At the moment, we're in the grid view. And if you hover over next to something like that, you'll see that next to grid view, it'll have a little G, and that's the key press to find it. So if you ever want to know what the key press is, but you only know the button or something like that, hover over stuff and you'll start to learn the key presses. And these things get a lot easier when you know the key presses, because you can jump about a lot quicker. I don't know anywhere near all the key presses, but I know the one and the things that I do, it speeds it up. So you've got grid view, and then you've got single image view. What do they call that? Loop view. So obviously, because it's a loop view with an L, the key press for that is E. I know. And then they've got this comparison view. So go back to grid. If I pick, so that one and that one, I can then put them in comparison view and compare them side by side. So you might, I don't know, you say you're doing portraits or something like that, or studio work, you might want to look for the best one, you know, and compare them, stuff like that. The other one is, I think this is a relatively new one, or it's not something that I ever used before, is this survey view. So what you can do is, we've got, say, pick that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And I'm picking multiple ones by, if it's a non-contiguous selection, big words. So if it's a non-contiguous selection, you can just click each one by pressing Control and clicking on them. In the same, if you're a Mac user, that's Command and clicking on them, and so you can click the ones you want. And then down here we have Survey View, which goes under the useful key press of N for survey. I'm feeling at this point they've run out of useful letters. But anyway, Survey View shows you them like that. I don't really know why I would use that. I only discovered it while I was writing up my notes for this, yeah, I've never needed to use that. I kind of flip between grid mode and loop view, or one-shot view, as I like to call it. There's also a people view. O for people. What you can do is you can have the facial recognition on in Lightroom, and it will recognise people, and you can train it to recognise people. I don't think most people are going to do that, because the people you care about, you probably know what they look like anyway. And everybody else, I don't think you really need a computer to help you with it. So it's kind of a nice gimmick, but I don't think it's. I've used it. I've run it against my whole catalogue years ago, and yeah, it recognised people, but so did I. So I didn't really find it was hugely useful. I suppose it saves you keywording stuff, but it's not the most useful thing in the world. So the two views that I tend to use are this grid view and then, say, loop view. So that's G. Go away, Ben. I'll come back to you later. That's G for grid and E to view one particular image. Or you can just go back to the grid. Oh, buddy. So you can pick one particular image like that. But I mean, I just normally look through here and double click on an image and pick the one I want. So,
Chris, can I just ask a question?
Yes, mate.
Has everybody got this very annoying line of stuff at the bottom of the screen? Mute, stop video, participants and all that jazz? Because it's blocking out, for me, it's blocking out what you're showing at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mine's at the top, Dave.
Oh, right. So I turn my computer up the other way?
Yeah, could do. Yeah.
Hang on a sec,
Try moving your mouse, because I think it's when your mouse is down the bottom.
Right, my mouse is at the top now.
Leave and take your hand off it. Right, that way.
Done that.
Is it gone?
Oh, it's gone. That's better. All right, thank you. Lovely.
To be honest, Dave, well done.
Thank you.
Because I didn't know how to do that yesterday. I sat there and I kept thinking, that's really annoying. Ooh. Right, Jeff's just joined us as well. So we've gone from grid view to loop view and all of that. But this, again, we're still not doing anything that we can't do outside of Lightroom by just going through our images. So let's do typically what I would do. So basically I've gone out, I've shot loads and loads of rubbish photos. You see that these are groups of 5 because I've just got my camera set to HDR, to a bracket 5 shots every time I press the shutter, because I'm phenomenally lazy when I'm walking the dog first thing in the morning. And so I'm going to go through this, and I want to get rid of a load of these pictures and just pick the good ones. So first thing I would do is press F to go into full screen mode. Yeah, so now I can look at the pictures and assess them and think whether they're any good. Or in my case, find one that might be average. Yeah. So I look at this picture, I decide whether I like it or not. So that's whether, I've basically got 3 values that I can assign to this picture. P is a pick, which means I want to do something with it later. I can leave it as it is, and not flag it and just say it's an average photo that I might come back to at a later date. Or X, which is the reject. And so in this case, I don't know, this is all right. I might never do something with it, but I'm not going to delete it. Yeah, okay. So I'm moving right arrow through these. Okay, so the previous one I don't like, so I'm going to press X on the keyboard. And that just flashed up at the bottom there. Do that again. Yeah, a little flag flashed up. And X says this is a reject. Junk it. Move on to the next one. Yeah, that's okay. That's rubbish. Junk. Okay, not too bright. Junk.
So Chris, when you put X, does that mean it actually takes it off your hard drive or just takes it out of Lightroom?
I'll come back to that in a sec.
Ah, right.
All we've done.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's a very good question. All we've done is mark that image, yeah, as a reject to us. And what we decide a reject means is something we can do later. Yeah. So I'm going to, okay, so that one I'm going to reject. That one I'm going to pick. That one I'm going to reject. And that one I'm going to reject. Let's reject a load of these. They're a bit crap, aren't they? They look much better in real life. So I kind of like that one, so I'm going to pick that one. And maybe pick that one as well, but I don't know, maybe pick that one. But and go through, oh, that's too bright, we'll reject that. So that's basically the image selection process. And then when we go back to our grid, we will see that some are grayed and some are not. So all the ones I rejected have gone a sort of lighter grey colour. These are all ones I rejected. So everybody understand what I was doing there before I go forward, yeah? It's quite straightforward. I was, like I say, there's three values. There's P for pick, X for reject, and just leave it as it is for stuff that you might come back to later. Now, to answer Paul's question, what do we do with the rejects? There are a few options with the rejects. We've marked them as rejects. Now, what we could do is we could create a collection and put them in there as stuff I think's a bit rubbish, and then maybe revisit them in a year's time, slap a load of Photoshop on it and make it into a wonderful thing. But if you see in my case, the way I work in that I've got so many rejects that I just don't care about them, and they'd overwhelm me if I had all these extra shots that aren't doing anything. So really I'd want to just delete those. And the way you can select all of them is, right, so what you can do is you can filter. So these bars up the top here, I keep going to point to the screen, it's really kind of annoying. So these bar filters, things up the top here, allow you to filter your image. And this is, I would argue, this is where, when we're in this library module, this is the power that Lightroom gives you. It's the power to organize your images well and kind of understand where they are. Yeah, all the developing stuff you get in Photoshop. Yeah, it's exactly the same development stuff in Photoshop as it is in Lightroom. It's called Adobe Camera Raw. So the bit that you get extra, the bit that Lightroom gives you, is this library module, and there's a lot of power in it once you start to get used to it. Because what we can do is we can filter. So if we click on the attribute thing, we can filter based on flags. So let's pick and choose things that have been edited in Lightroom, our star rating. We can also assign a color rating to stuff. But in our case, so if I just wanted to see the things that I have picked, I would just click that button there. And suddenly I've got rid of everything else and I can just start concentrating on my picks. If I click this little icon in the middle, that's all the ones that I haven't flagged as pick or reject. So I said there were 3 statuses. And this third one, unsurprisingly enough, is rejected stuff. And so these are the ones I want to delete. But the way these filters work is that they're kind of additive. So what you can say is, you can say, I want all the rejected ones plus all the ones that I haven't flagged yet. Or I could have unclick that. That's just all the ones I haven't flagged, plus all the ones I've flagged. Yeah, so you can choose, and you can even choose, and I think this is going to work. You can all click all three, which means picked, unpicked, and not picked, or picked, rejected, and unpicked, and then you end up with everything. Yeah, so you can, they work together. It's a little bit confusing because when you hover over them, the message says filter based on flag status, and it says the same thing for all three. And it doesn't make any sense to me, but you have to know basically that black is reject, that's pick, and that's no flag at all. So if we pick reject, cool, rejected.
You got flag on, yeah.
Yeah, I've got it. That's it. Yeah, that's where I've got them all on still. There we go. There.
Click none.
So that's rejected. Yeah, and so if I click on one, even though it's rejected, the background goes to this grey colour, but the light grey stuff is the rejected stuff. And now, to answer Paul's question, what am I going to do with them? So I can move, again, I can move them to a folder, or I can press Control and Control and Backspace, which is a pretty obscure key press. I think it's Command and Backspace on a Mac. And then it offers me the option of what do I want to do with them. Now, there are two things you can do to them. One is the default, which is just to remove them from your Lightroom catalog. They still sit on the disk, but you no longer see them in your Lightroom catalog. Okay, so that's the safest option because you're not going to delete anything by accident because it's still going to be on your hard drive. But to me, I'm kind of, I want to get rid of them. I should have a backup anyway, so it doesn't matter. I should have if I accidentally delete one, I just want to get rid of those items that I've marked as delete. So I will say this left-hand option, which is delete from disk, yeah, which physically removes them from the disk. If I do that, they go straight in the recycle bin, and you possibly could get them back from the recycle bin if you're lucky. So be careful of what this means. Now, what you'll happen is quite a lot of people will not read the screen properly and just click remove. And then next time they scan their folders in Lightroom, they've got all their deleted pictures back and they wonder why they came back. It's because you never actually physically deleted them off the disk. So I personally, my way of working is that at this point I do delete from disk. Yeah. And what Lightroom will just chunter away and just delete each of those images off the drive. And as you can imagine, the way I'm shooting with those 5 brackets for every shot, you know, you'd want to get rid of them because otherwise you just fill it up your hard drive and your brain space with loads and loads of images you don't want.
Chris, I can tell you're a software engineer because you went to the shortcut key.
Yes.
You could also get it on the right-click menu, on the context menu.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. Yep, you can do it. There's lots of ways of doing that. So if I'll just let's just. So what I can do, I'll show you to demonstrate what Jeff said. I'm just going to pick a few images to delete. So that one, that one, that one. And again, I'm just control clicking as I move my way through. We'll get rid of that lot. And so Jeff reckons if I now right mouse click on the background,
all the way down the bottom,
remove photos. That does that same thing as control backspace. Yeah. And we can delete from disk there as well. The difference between what I did and what Jeff or what this does is that I selected the images first and just said delete them, whereas before I flagged them and control backspace selects all your rejects and then asks you if you want to delete them. So whatever way you want to work, really. But it's all, a lot of people start off using the menu keys and the context menus, but I would recommend, if you can, to try and get some of these key presses in your head, because they will save you a lot of time. So let's flip back.
Chris,
Yeah.
can I just say, if you looking at images and you've got the film strip at the bottom, which is the way I work, when I go through my pictures the same as you, but as soon as the ones I don't like, I just press the X key, delete, and that puts a black flag on the film strip straight away. Then when I've gone through it all, I go up to photos, scroll down, delete images, and it takes it away, and you can see at the bottom exactly what you're doing.
Well,
that's the way I do it. I know there's many ways, but
yeah, I mean, that's what I said. Some people like the film strip way of working. So you're saying that we go here.
Well, I just highlight one of the photos and I say I don't like it. I'll just press the X key and it'll put a black flag on that.
There you go. So there's your set as rejected, like that, and then you're saying you go up to the photo menu. Somewhere up there. Delete
rejected photos.
So that's
it's the same way but different.
I mean, the difference is that I was doing it in full screen and you're doing it by moving along the film strip. But
but I've still got a fairly large image on the screen, I must admit. So
depends on the screen size. And it helps if you've, again, like I say, it helps if you've used tab to clear the stuff off the side, and you find a lot of people don't know this, and they are using a screen that looks like, well, something like that.
You get a little square in the middle.
And let's put the toolbar on as well, and then when you click on an image, it's not, it's not that big.
If you use Shift Tab, you get rid of all of the pop-up menu. The
Shift Tag.
Yeah, Shift Tab.
Tab.
Shift Tab.
Oh, sorry. Like that. Although the toolbar doesn't go, that's strange, isn't it?
No.
There you go.
Also, another top tip, if you've got caps lock on and you're picking images, it also goes on to the next one.
Ah, right. So you pick and it moves on, yeah? So I say, everybody's got their own way of selecting stuff and picking stuff and working, and it's quite flexible. But I'm not right. I mean, obviously Dave's wrong, but
I'm wrong as well.
The basic idea is this process of deciding to pick between your picks, your rejects, your unpicks, and you can do. I wouldn't do star ratings at this point. I would just go through and do pick and reject, and just reject everything and delete everything I don't want. And the picks I'm marking as that I want to process later. So let's have a look around the library screen, because, like I said, this is the bit you're paying the money for. So let's hide that. And within the library, they tend to have this two-panel module. One panel down the left-hand side, one panel down the right-hand side. If there's a load of people over this right-hand side, you can use the minus bar at the moment to move that or hide it to get out of the way while I'm talking. But over on the left-hand side tends to be more general stuff about the module, and then the right-hand side tends to be about the specific image. First thing you get on the left is Navigator, and that's showing you where you are on the image. Well, obviously we're full screen, so it's not really showing us anything. But if we press Z to zoom in, sensible key name, Z to zoom in, and Z to zoom out, that allows us to zoom in quickly. But we don't know where we are on the picture, so the Navigator on the left-hand side shows you the area we are currently seeing at the moment. You can also do that by, these allow you to pick different ways of viewing the image. So that's fits the whole image. Fill effectively means that it's bigger than both dimensions. It's a bit weird because you're actually losing the edges of the image now. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. Then you've got 1-to-1 view, and you can have 3-to-1 view. So that's zooming in 3 times the number of pixels you've actually got on your camera.
You can have all sorts of views, can't you?
Yeah, but and 2 times. Now, that's okay, but you have to remember is if that's 3 times, 1-to-1 is showing you what your camera actually recorded. 3-to-1 is actually making up some of the information or interpolating, as they say in mathematical speak. So you've got to be careful. If you start to see things on here at 3-to-1 view, don't get too excited about it because 1-to-1 view is really the only one that matters.
So is 1-to-1 the same as 100%?
Yeah.
On Photoshop or?
It's 1 pixel on your camera is 1 pixel on the screen.
Right.
Whereas 3-to-1 is 1 pixel on the camera is 3 pixels on the screen. So that's your navigator on the left-hand side, and over on the right-hand side, at the top, you've got the histogram. Everybody understand what a histogram is? Anybody got any questions? No? We're all okay with that, yeah? So dark on this side, light on this side, and then a graph of the amount of that thing that's in there. And this is split into red, yellow, and blue. Now, one of the things you'll find people moan about Lightroom a lot is that they'll say, yeah, it's all right, but it's a right scroll fest because, actually, let me just, it's a right scroll fest because everything I want is right down the bottom, you know, because there's a great big long list of stuff. It takes forever to find anything because they're always scrolling up and down like this. Top tip is to switch if you right mouse click at the top here of one of these panels and select solo mode, it only allows 1 panel to be open at a time. And again, over on this side, so I've got solo mode on here. If I switch it off, I can open this one and this one and this one. Whereas in solo mode, I only get to see 1 at a time. Depends on how you want to work. But I usually have the right-hand side on solo mode and the left-hand side on non-solo mode. But pays your money, takes your choice. But definitely when you're starting with this, it will save you a lot of scrolling if you switch solo mode.
Also, Chris, if you grab hold of the menu bar at the top of each module, you can shift the order about of the modules themselves.
Grab that.
Yeah, especially on the right-hand side, you can change the order of them, I believe. Certainly can in the development mode. So
let's try it. If I take it out of solo mode, we'll do that.
Yeah, if you just click on it and then drag.
No, it's not working.
Oh, it's not working. No, okay. I thought you could change it. You certainly can.
Maybe it's a control. No.
No, you can certainly do it in the development module. Change the order of things.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. No. I'll tell you what. I'll leave that as an exercise for you. Next week, you can tell us how we do that. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be able to. You can't shuffle these up and down here either. So no. So on the left-hand side, like I say, this is more generally about the whole collection, the whole module you're currently in. And on the left, we have catalog. So the catalog is the Lightroom file. It's all the images in the Lightroom file. And if we do all photographs, this Lightroom file is a very, very small one. It's only got 367 images registered inside it. My normal archive, I think there's 50,000 images. Represents 15 years of shooting, I think. The next selection down here is all synced photos. That's for if you're syncing stuff to the cloud, which we'll maybe look at one day, but not today. I think this idea of a quick collection. So there's no photos in your quick collection. So what would you want a quick collection for? Well, so things I use it for. So say this is my main Lightroom, and I'm looking for, say, an entry for a competition. And I might say, well, that one, add to quick collection. And when you add it to the quick collection, see that's gone up by 1. Maybe add that one to the quick collection, add that one to the quick collection. And look here, I've managed to get a collection of images that I'm interested in. So what I would normally do is, so for instance, if I'm putting together I don't know, so last time I used this was an entry for Landscape Photographer of the Year. And I went through my entire archive and I picked, you've got 20 entries you're allowed, and I picked sort of 70 pictures I was interested in. And now I've got them in this little collection, I can whittle them down and remove them from the collection as I go. And finally, when I've decided which 20 I'm going to send in, I can save that I can save the quick collection as a new collection, and I know exactly what I sent each year. You know, because when they come back and they want to give me the awards and everything, yeah, it makes it easy.
Yeah.
So that's what quick collections allow you to do. So it's got a little plus next to it. That means it's a target collection. And when we create our own collections later on, we can work out how to set it as a target collection and what that gives us. But at the moment, because I said send to quick collection, that's what that's given me. Next panel down there, oh, previous import. Yeah, this is the last lot of stuff you imported off the card or imported into Lightroom. So that's what the viewer usually shows you after you've done an import. So that's kind of quite handy, because you can always see what you've just got. The interesting thing is, what I always do is I usually work in, as the stuff comes in, I look through previous import, and I forget I'm on that view. I'll go away and edit one of those pictures in, say, Photoshop, save it and come back, and it doesn't appear. Yeah, because it's not in the previous import. It's in the same folder on the disk, and if I go and look on folders, it will be there, but it wasn't something I imported in that previous import. So, as you say, when in last week's module we did the days, we decided we were going to sort our images by year, month, and then day. And so that's why each of these images is in a separate physical folder on the hard drive. Well, let's go and see these. These are the foxes on the school field behind me. Trying to get a decent photo of them if I can get a shot through the chain link fence. So there's, and you can see for each, we're on my C drive. This hasn't gone red, so I've got plenty of disk space. And each of these shows that the 5th of May I got 35 photos from the 5th of May. 24th of May I got, oh sorry, 8th of May I got 24 pictures, and so forth. We'll come back to collections, late date and publish services, because again, this is part of the library module, and they've already given you quite a lot of stuff to go through. And the library module is where the real power of Lightroom is. So this is the bit you kind of want to know. Over here on the right hand side, we have the quick develop panel, which is kind of fun. Not something I use very often, to be honest. Oh, zoomed in. God. Any of these shot? Oh, dear. Look at that. God, that's what you get for shooting first thing in the morning. Wait, let's try one of those.
Doesn't have to be first thing in the morning for me.
So what I can do is, at the moment, I'm not really interested in this left-hand panel. And just over here on the far left there, you'll see a little arrow. If you click that, you can just fold that panel away. Come on. Yeah, fold that panel away.
It's gone.
And you get just one panel down the side and your image to work on. So this quick develop is basically a set of tools that are in your develop module, which has got a load more, that you can just quickly have a look at and see if your image is any good. So, for instance, one of the buttons that I kind of always hit is the auto button, which Lightroom has its go processing your image and tries to, in theory, apparently it uses artificial intelligence to compare it to a list of similar photos and tries to work out the best possible view of it. It's got better in the latest releases. It does actually produce not a bad result. The original version, or the version until sort of 6 or 7, that was used to produce very bright images. It's not quite as bad now. And then I can just so down here we've got basically the quick edits. So we can just decrease the exposure a bit, increase the contrast, make the shadows dark, bang on some clarity, or that looks much better, doesn't
it? Looks a bit sharp now.
Yeah. What you can do is, if you've got presets, we'll talk about presets some other time, which is a saved set of processes that you've done in the develop module, you can quickly apply those. So I might want to just do it as an antique version, like that, yeah. Or, you know, I don't know, try some cross processing, shall we? Yeah, so you can just quickly bang them through, and it's useful. Those presets, and people sort of slag them off and say you've got to understand this stuff, but I find presets quite useful if you've got an image that you think there's something about this image that I like, but I'm not quite sure. You can just sort of flick through the presets and say, you know, oh yeah, obviously it looks much better in black and white, but with a red filter on, or with a blue filter on. Yeah, okay, I'll start from that as a process, and it gives you ideas. I've got a set of ones somewhere. These mimic old films, and if you really want to do something weird, let's try that. Yeah, there you go. That's a imitation, but it just gives you creative ideas and ways of looking at your images again. So it's always worth it.
Can I ask what's probably a stupid question?
Yeah.
Under the tone control, in the exposure, contrast, highlights, etc., you've got one single arrow going left and right, and then two little ones going.
So if you hover over it, the two single arrows are so I mean exposure. It's a third of a stop, and then one stop.
Got it.
But it's, I mean, obviously you can't do a stop of clarity. That doesn't make any sense. But you can. It's a bit more clarity and lots more clarity. So that, like, you know, there's no slider there or anything. But that's because this is it's supposed to be a quick way of doing it. I'm not actually convinced that pressing these buttons is any quicker than moving the slider. But
I've never used it. Well, say the odd occasion, but
yeah, I think if you don't, I think what they used to be was it was quite slow when you went into the art module because it applies to sharpening and everything, and it has to load a lot more. So if you use this, it was a quick way of doing it, and I would think probably just using the presets would be just an interesting way of applying it. So yeah, again, there's something a bit nasty. Keywording. Come back to keywording maybe next week. But metadata. So I'm not sure if where am I? So I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time, but metadata, the word metadata, what does it mean? Well, data is your image. Your image is a collection of ones and zeros. So it's data as far as the computer's concerned. Metadata is data about data. So this is the information about your image. Yeah. So it's not the image itself, it's the stuff about it. And a typical example, we look at default for this image. This is showing you all the stuff that we know or Lightroom knows about your image. So yeah, we know that I've put the copyright on. We know the date it was captured, the ISO, the fact that the flash didn't fire, what camera took it. This is all what they call EXIF information, which stands for something that I can't remember offhand, and IPTC information as well. So EXIF is the stuff that your camera records. IPTC is stuff that you can put in about your image. So if yeah, there we go. IPTC. This would be IPTC is more for press photographers, stuff like that. So you can say your email, your contact details, date created, stuff like that, country, region. Whereas EXIF is the stuff that your camera recorded for you automatically and what metering mode you were on and stuff like that. You can edit some of this stuff. So you can change the file name. You can, especially on the IPTC stuff, you know, you could change any of this. The trick with this is to put it into a preset. And again, the power of this, because this has already put all my details in, because I put it into a preset, and then when we import it, it sets all that stuff for me. And I'll have to take you through that another time on setting up import presets and various presets. If you see at the top, there's a preset that's clear caption, and that's the one that I usually use. It sets all these address and everything for me, but also it clears the caption field, because on Olympus cameras, it says it fills the caption field with Olympus digital camera. And then when you upload it to places, you don't notice, and your description of your image is Olympus digital camera. So not usually helpful. But yeah, you can, you know, if you want to say this was shot in London, well, that's how you do it. And you can record that, and you can search on that stuff. So that's the final thing I wanted to show you today. Is this back to this filtering panel at the top here? Because each of these images records information about itself, we can now search on it. I won't go for searching on text, because that's keywords and stuff like that will help. But we looked at attributes. We can search by flagged, unflagged, our star ratings, colors and stuff like that. But also, because we've talked about metadata. Oh, let's try metadata. Thank you. We can actually search for, say, everything taken. Come on. It's a bit slow when you're sharing stuff. So we can pick say we want to know everything taken with a particular camera. And that allows us to filter with a particular camera. And then we might want to filter with a particular lens. Not a good example, because everything is taken on the same camera, same lens, but there you go. But then I know that now. I didn't know that before I started this. Just do the whole of the time, see if there's a difference over, because that was interesting, because it was only ever showing 24, because I was on the 8th of May. If I click now, I'll get the whole of May. And if I do metadata again, no, they're all taken. Oh no, look, there you go. What did I use my big camera for? Well, it was these shots, the foxes. And suddenly I've got a choice of, so if I look on the on this one, I've only used one lens. On this one, I've only used one lens, but it's a different lens. So you can filter your images by the lenses you took, the date you took them. File type's quite interesting because if you shoot on RAW, your RAW files you can separate your RAW files from your final TIFF files or whatever you saved, your PSDs, after you've processed them in Photoshop and stuff like that. Then you've got label rating keywords, which I already talked about. But I don't know, you might want to pick everything that was a particular focal length. This could be fun. Yeah, here we go. How often do I use 150mm compared to what have I taken at 36mm? I don't know, might be interesting. What aperture I use, stuff like that. And then all of this stuff, and basically all this is doing is filtering this grid based on the metadata about each image. So, what have we got? We've got anything that's, I haven't put too much information in it, but let's go with, yeah, let's go back to camera because that's always quite fun. So, yeah, if I want to see everything that I've used my cheap camera for, I've taken 304 shots. My expensive camera, only 63. That was a good investment then, wasn't it, really?
You have to add your drone to that soon.
Hey?
You have to add your drone to that one soon.
Yep, yeah, drone and my new 300mm lens as well. You shouldn't leave me locked up with nothing to do apart from money.
That and a credit card, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to be. But so that's what these filters allow you to do at the top. And I think, yeah, I think that's probably us for today. Any questions on all that? Anything people are not confused about? Think I do in a crappy way? Anything like that?
No, good.
You're doing it your way, and that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
It's good to see that there are many, many ways to do it, and I do to fit what I do, and it may not be your way, but it's the way that I've got used to, and that's I'm comfortable with it. But
yeah, that is it. Is what happens is you read the manual, you discover the one way that works for you, and you stick to it, and that's
right. That's right.
What I've done.
Yeah.
And that's what I was showing about that survey view. It wasn't until I looked that I even knew that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I would use it, but it was there, to be honest.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. So.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that was everything I wanted to show you today. So what we've gone through, just flick through basically what I said, is that we're still in this idea of this basic workflow. We're at the select part of our basic workflow. And as part of selecting, you want to clear the screen, select what you want to pick and reject, then find the rejects and just delete them or move them out, depending on how brave you're feeling. And then eventually you've got a set of nice objects, nice pictures that you think are worthwhile, and you can process them. There's a shortcut keys for clearing the screen. How to move through using forward and back, X pick, unpick. Those are quite easy to get in your head. Once you've got those in your head, it makes reviewing the images a lot easier. And then I just talked you through each of the panels on the library screen itself, and what they do. So stop sharing. So that was about it then for tonight, for this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And see you next week.
See you. Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.